Yeah, one quick take on just this last week and the whole COVID week, and just the way the team started out really good. Well, not really. I'm sorry. Team didn't start out great, and then they started to come together. Had the 4 game win streak. Everything was looking really good. Heineke had a lot of good games, and then all of a
He
sudden,
was putting it
the
together.
world was just like, "Fuck you, Washington! Fuck you!
Yep.
Fuck you again!
Yeah.
Fuck you 30 times,
Yeah.
basically," because we had about 30 players out. So that's my take on this week, basically, is how it felt. It's just a big fuck you to Washington, and it was hard. It was a hard week.
Old granddaddy fucking Omicron fucking came running through the goddamn facility, fucking all rampant. Fuck
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Fuck that shit.
yeah,
That
yeah,
team's
yeah.
got talent.
Not cool.
That team's got
Not
talent.
cool.
Like, you don't just go on a fucking 4 game winning streak.
I
If you've
know.
got a
It's like,
good
and
team,
even and during that winning streak, we were still missing key players. Like Chase Young was
yeah.
out, Sweat was out
Montez
front.
Sweat. Yeah.
So imagine if the team was actually fully healthy and didn't have to deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
This like what is right now would not be what is. I mean, that was the stupidest thing to say, but
No, I mean,
I'm fired. I'm fucking
what you're saying.
irritated, man.
Yeah, I get it.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It's just a giant
It's
fuck you.
yeah.
It's
I
like,
mean, you
and then
come
now
in
we
with
got to deal with this new name shit,
yeah.
which I mean, that's we'll see how that goes. But I don't think anyone's optimistic. I think we're all going to be disappointed come when that happens. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully we'll have to see. Hopefully they can at least end on a winning note and at least get to
would that be 7-10?
yeah, at least finish at 7-10 there. Yeah. So I mean that would be big. I mean it's something obviously.
Yeah,
Team's
it
still
gets
in
to that
search.
point though, like we were just talking about, where it's like, I mean, if they win, yes, it's nice to win, but at this point, you're not going to the playoffs. Like, do you think about draft position? Do
Yeah.
you just maybe play backups and just see what happens at that point? Like, I don't know. It's you never want to say that. You never want to say that's what
Yeah.
I'd rather see. You'd rather see your team win, but
Yeah.
at this point, it's about next season. So like,
Draft position's only valuable if you pick well.
and that is true. And yeah, Washington has a terrible history of picking poorly under the ownership of Dan Snyder, who is a garbage. And it's probably why this name change is going to be a huge disappointment. But we will see. We will see. Let's not be negative. We'll see how it goes. But yeah,
Definitely.
that was my take on how shitty things have been lately.
Yeah.
So
I get it, man. Yeah, it's been rough, especially with the expectations coming in after last year. And yeah, I mean
yeah,
this team's got so much talent. Like they've got a, I think that they're, I think Heineke's at least earned the opportunity to stay around as like maybe the number two. Like he's gotten like 14 starts, 15 starts this season, so he's gotten
yeah.
a pretty solid body of work. But I mean, I think that if they were to get a franchise quarterback or somebody big in free agency, that could definitely take them to the
That would be the smarter
next level.
choice. Like if they can get, like I was saying before, my two options. As I know, I've said Jimmy Garoppolo. I know Niner fans are probably like, "Oh yeah, please take him," and I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, fucking please give him,
yeah,
let's go." But
yeah.
I
Jimmy
know
gets a lot
you
of
wouldn't
flack,
say
but
that
yeah,
because
yeah. No,
Jimmy, you like,
I like
you're
Jimmy.
not
Yeah,
retarded, and you realize, no, Jimmy isn't amazing, but he's pretty damn solid. Like you got to be happy when you got something good.
yeah,
You could have Taysom Hill as your starting quarterback, and like, I
yeah,
mean, come on,
yeah, yeah,
is that what you want?
yeah.
Like,
Jimmy has a very fast release. I mean, Jimmy gets that ball out quick,
yeah,
which is
Jimmy does
what
a
you
lot of
want.
good things, and yeah, I mean, if
He's good on the
that
play
him and
action
Baker
game.
Mayfield, if
Yeah,
he actually does move on from the Browns, which would be surprising, then I think that would also be an option. But I also wouldn't mind seeing Heineke come back with a healthy team,
yeah,
with
yeah.
everybody there, and but I do think someone new, something else is probably necessary.
At least if nothing else, maybe bring Heineke back as the bridge, and then maybe draft somebody that's like a developmental
Yeah,
prospect that maybe will be ready in a year or two. Because
I would say that
because the
if the
quarterback
draft
croft is, is,
the
is not good this year. It's
right,
not
that's what I
great.
was gonna say. The draft prospects aren't very good, so
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But we'll definitely follow that and see how that goes.
yeah. The biggest thing coming now, other than the Giants game, obviously, or the Eagles game, well, Eagles and Giants game, is the name change. So that'll be
Yeah,
That'll be the big thing to cover once, because we're not going to the off season, or I'm sorry, the off season.
Postseason.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah, I know
the
what you mean.
postseason.
Yeah,
You know what I meant.
yeah, yeah.
Since we're not going to the postseason, so that'll be the big thing to focus on with Washington is the name, and we can all be disappointed together.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, Redskins fans, or Washington football team, or fucking whatever it might be?
Whatever it might be.
Terrible week. I'm not even gonna do the cup thing. I'm just gonna take a drink of this because that's how bad this is.
It's probably alcohol.
It probably is. Oh, yeah. To start with that, because this is a terrible week. Terrible. Before we get into the terrible game that happened, there's some even worse news on a more personal level with some of the players coming into the week. The team is playing with very heavy. Just to start, with all the injuries and the COVID issues on top of that, after a tragic incident involving Washington safety Deshazer Everett, that's a tough name to say. According to a report from the sheriff's office, Everett's 2010 Nissan GTR, nice car, left the right side of the roadway, struck several trees, and rolled over. The passenger, Olivia S. Peters, which was his girlfriend, actually, which was later identified, of Las Vegas, later died at a local hospital. Sources told ESPN that two other Washington players, linebacker Jamin Davis, our rookie, and cornerback two rookies, Benjamin St. Juste, told police they were driving in a car behind Everett after having gone out to dinner with him. The players remained at the crash scene to speak to the police, the source said. And Davis was excused from practice Friday for personal reasons, but Coach Ron Rivera said he expects him to play Sunday. Rivera also said he was saddened by the news of the crash. But I guess Ron, being a bit of a hard ass there, he's like, well, you got to play on Sunday.
I mean, I'm sure he probably gave him the option to play.
Yeah, and he probably wanted to also. He's probably, I'd rather just play, like, especially, given that. Ron Rivera did also say, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the young lady and also go out to the Chaser and his family as well. It's a very difficult situation, and we'll let things go on and let the police and the investigation go through and find out what happened. The 29-year-old Everett has been a backup safety and a special teams player for Washington since 2015. So he has been with the team for quite a while.
Yeah, he's been a good core player for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, you never want to see that. And then, to make things even worse, you get one thing that really sucks, and then just gets piled on.
Hold on one second. What the fuck was that? My bad. Jesus. Sorry. I don't know what the fuck that was.
All right.
I didn't even open anything fucking related to anything, so go ahead. Sorry.
It's all right. A few days after the game, Anthony Sweat, the brother of Washington football team defensive end Montez Sweat, was shot and killed Tuesday afternoon near Richmond, Virginia. Montez Sweat, one of the Washington football team's top players, is reportedly planning on not playing in Sunday's NFL Week 17 home game against Philadelphia, which is completely understandable, given his brother being killed. Local police reported that they received a call about a shooting around 4:09 p.m. on Tuesday. Anthony was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have yet to offer details regarding what led up to the shooting.
Yeah, and Sweat was absent from practice this week. And Ron reported that he wouldn't be playing against the Eagles. And then in regards to the situation, Ron had issued a statement saying, it is rough, and our thoughts and prayers are with the families. When we're here in the facility, we try to make sure the players understand that we're here for them. So definitely a rough situation. Two things within the course of a week for the team to overcome, obviously.
Yeah, it was just, given everything that's happened, with the COVID and the injuries, and then, two players having, Everett's out completely because he obviously got injured, but his girlfriend was killed. So that's, he's on a personal level, he's hurting. And then Montez Sweat. It's just really bad. And then earlier in the week, after Everett was involved in the single car crash outside of Washington on Christmas Eve, Rivera also moved to speak about the general mindset of his team in the wake of tragedy and in the wake of the team's lopsided 56-14 loss Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. And Ron said, these guys are more than just robots. They're people. They've got a teammate going through something right now. It's tough. That's not normal shit. That's real life. And he actually said that in the statement. He actually cussed for a change. He does cuss in the locker room, but he's usually very professional, and doesn't usually do that. So because this is really, it's real, and
Yeah.
what what the team's going through is a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think it's good that they've kind of rallied for around each other. I remember we had something similar. I don't know if you remember. It was during the, I think it was 2019 season, when CJ's brother got stabbed and killed. CJ Beathard, his brother got stabbed and killed, and then like he was taking some time off, and then like the team really so. Yeah, I mean it's good to see the team rally, but obviously a lot of these guys are probably hurting, and it's good that they
Yeah.
probably have a support system with the coaching staff and everything, because I feel like Ron would be a really good guy, like as far as that. I mean, especially having gone
Yeah.
through what he went through with his with his
With
cancer
cancer.
treatment. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's been through a lot with these guys. So definitely a bonded
Yeah.
unit. But
Definitely. And
yeah,
then unfortunately, to add to the bad news, like
yeah,
going into the Cowboys game, like it's like, oh, it couldn't get any worse, but then it does.
yeah. Then it does.
The defense is without three major starters. Landon Collins, who since switching him from safety to linebacker has been
Been playing
phenomenal,
great.
and
Been playing
yeah,
great.
and so he's out with a foot injury. Cole Holcomb, I would say one of the main cap of defense. He's out with COVID, and then William Jackson III is out with a calf injury.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, they had mentioned that Landon Collins, Cole Holcomb first, and then Landon Collins second. But those are your Washington's top two tacklers on defense,
absolutely,
and then William Jackson's. Your him and Fuller are your starting corners, and you're without one of them there. So yeah, that was definitely a rough spot to be in, especially because Landon Collins in the last Cowboys matchup had 2 sacks and a pick. So I mean, he was one of the few bright spots in that game. So definitely could have
yeah,
used him in this game.
absolutely. Um, in the game, Dallas started with the ball. However, after picking up an early first down, Washington would stall the drive with a couple of sacks from a couple of sacks from Ioannidis and one from Daron Payne. Sorry, on a third down and long, the Cowboys tried a hook and lateral type play.
I don't know what's in there.
To Ced Wilson that was pitched to Cooper and almost fumbled away by Dallas. They would catch a break being able to punt there instead of the fumble being recovered.
Yeah, yeah, that was unfortunate. That probably could have changed the start of the
I
game.
mean, given the final score, it could have changed the start of the game. But given the final score, I'm not really sure it would have mattered. But let's hurry up and get through this real quick.
Yeah.
Washington took a deep shot for Terry on their first play, which was nice to see. However, it would be picked by Trayvon Diggs for his NFL leading 11th of the season. So first play of the game, pick. We go deep for Terry, and it's picked. So really not a good start. The offense, I mean, obviously 56-14 didn't do much. I mean, shit, the defense didn't do either. So,
yeah.
Not that surprising the way after, when this happened, like knowing that final score, like, well, this isn't that surprising.
Yeah.
And then Dallas follows that by going 9 plays, 71 yards, and 3 minutes and 45 seconds with Dak finding Zeke in the flat for a passing touchdown to go up 7-0.
Yep.
Yeah. So on Washington's next drive, one positive was a second down play Heineke made with a Dallas defender in his face. He ducked down and sidearm released the ball to Dax Milne for 13 yards
nice.
and
nice.
a first down. It was very nice.
That was some Patrick Mahomes shit. Right?
Yeah, it's exactly what I thought. That was really nice. And Dax Milne getting the catch, which that's great. He's a rookie, so always nice
young man getting snaps.
Catch the ball. Yeah. So unfortunately, the drive did stall out. As you know how the game went, not that surprising, but and they'd have to punt. It seemed like every play Taylor was under intense pressure and had no time to read the field. So, it was great having Taylor back, but at the same time, given the way he looked and the way things were going, I don't think it really mattered who was back there at that point. Because Taylor's fairly evasive and mobile. So
exactly, and it's not just like he struggled in the last, like his worst game was the last game against Dallas too, and he even played a little bit worse in this one. So yeah, I mean he's had 2 rough outings against that Dallas defense, because I mean Dallas really has improved that defense a lot. I mean they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. After
I agree with that, but I also think it's a matter of where Washington is at in terms of the injuries and COVID, what they were working with, a heavy depleted team. So it's not even necessarily, obviously the Cowboys are a good team, but I don't think they're good enough to get 56 points on us with only us getting 14 if we had a healthy roster.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
it definitely plays a factor. I mean, especially with the, they had at least three major defensive starters out, probably more than that. I know they only played Jamin Davis like limited snaps. Like I think he ended up getting like 16 snaps. So regardless of like whether that was like a personal thing because we mentioned he was going through what he was going through or what, but
yeah,
yeah. But I mean Dallas would score on their second play of the game, or I mean second drive of the game, with basically the same kind of design where he finds Dalton Schultz in the flat. There's just wide open receiver in the flat where
yeah,
Washington just didn't have anybody there. It was, and you figure that's probably usually going to be where you'd have Landon Collins, like a Landon Collins or a Cole Holcomb assignment. So yeah,
exactly. So they're
definitely.
taking advantage of where we're depleted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Dak probably went to the Pro Bowl just based off this game alone. I mean, on an interesting note here, Trayvon Diggs, who we mentioned, got his league leading 11th pick earlier on the first play of the game. He's also surrendered the most passing yards in the league with 899. So it's kind of like a feast or famine situation with him back there.
Yeah.
It's either real good or real bad.
Yeah. After this, for the second time this season, a Cowboys defensive lineman would return an interception for a touchdown, with DeMarcus Lawrence tipping the ball at the line of scrimmage to himself, which
Yeah,
I hate to say it. When that does happen, it is always really impressive and
it
cool
was
to
a hell
see.
of a play.
I really hate that it was
Did you
against
see
us,
that
but
run that
like,
he made? Like kind of like jumping over those guys. That was for the big
yeah,
fella.
yeah,
That was hyper impressive. Like
yeah,
I
dude,
hated
yeah, it
how
was.
impressive it was, but
I know.
it
I'm
was
like,
hyper
fuck
impressive.
you, but
Yeah,
that was nice. Like,
it was good. It was good. I mean, you got
I
to give the
can't lie.
got to
And
give the
I
guy.
went into this game expecting a loss given the way that the team's status was. So it is what it is. But if a player makes a good play, you gotta give him credit.
Got to
And
give it up. Yeah.
that was a good credit. That was a good play. Fuck the Cowboys, but
Yeah.
that dude had a good play.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, after this, it was a 21-0 at this point. So they were shutting us out at this point. At least we did get some points eventually. One of the few offensive bright spots of the day was a 48-yard deep completion from Heineke to the third-round pick, Diami Brown, who had Trayvon Diggs covering him at the time.
Yeah. So
That was beautiful to see.
so put that on his tab. What's that like 947 now? And he's given up. He like continues to just like
Oh shit!
yeah.
It's gonna hit. It's gonna hit 1,000
You
for
probably
sure.
will. Probably will, because I know we got beat a few more times in this game, in the second half. So, yeah,
Yeah. Another bright spot. DeAndre Carter continues to be a weapon in both the passing and jet sweep game when
he
the
does.
coaching staff decides
He
to
does.
involve him. He
That's
had a big run for 15 on the drive.
yeah.
After going 70 yards in 8 plays in 2 minutes and 32 seconds, Heineke would throw an 8-yard touchdown pass to Antonio Gibson to make the game 21-7. That would also be Taylor's 20th touchdown pass of the year. So, good for Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. If Taylor's got some incentive in there for where he gets to 20 or so, I don't know that he does, but if he does,
I don't know, but
that's
good for him if he does.
that's good for him. Yeah.
But at this point, or well, from now at this, to the half, the game just completely Washington just shit the bed. By the half, it was 42-7,
Yeah.
and the 42 points tied a record for points scored by Dallas in a half. So also just fantastic.
Rough. Yeah.
Dak at the half was 27 for 35, 321 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. So
Yeah.
highly embarrassing.
That
But
was rough.
yeah, not that surprising. Like I said, though, given when you go into the game and you know how the team is and who's playing, you're like, all right, well.
Right.
But still, you didn't expect it to be this bad.
And what
That's the
condition
thing.
was Taylor in? Because he was just off the COVID list. Like
That's true. That's true as well. Oh, and one other notable thing about this game, I mean, depending how you look at it, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne got into a bit of a fight on the sideline.
yeah, that was
Over,
weird.
it was very weird over who knows what. They did later on say that it was, kind of a fight between brothers, and
Yeah.
that they're all, it's fine, but still, it's really not something you want to see.
No,
I also
definitely
know
not.
that I think Deron Payne also deleted a bunch of his Washington football team stuff off of Instagram. That also could be related to the fact that the name is changing. Maybe don't read into that as much. It depends why. I mean, we don't know why he did that, but it is an interesting situation there. So we'll see if maybe
Yeah.
he's not around next year or what this means. But
Yeah, that is an interesting situation because like you had mentioned they do go back. They were former teammates at Alabama together, so it seemed like they were fine, and they were out there playing together later in the
Right.
game after they cooled down. So hopefully not a major thing. And I haven't heard about him being inactive for the game against Philly, so I would assume that he's out there. But yeah, we'll have to monitor whether he's still there in the off season or potentially used as like
Yeah,
a
I would think it would maybe be like an off-season thing. I mean,
yeah,
like again, it's just speculation.
right,
When you hear
right,
they delete stuff off their Instagram, it's like, well, that's kind of weird.
yeah,
Getting in a fight. I mean, with someone that's your, his brother, it just
but
seems kind of weird. Like,
yeah,
but hopefully it's nothing. Don't read in too much into it.
right.
But you never know.
I would hope not.
Then Dallas would have a touchdown off a blocked punt,
Yeah,
just to make things worse
yeah,
in the third quarter. And speaking of punting, there was one moment when Tress Way almost blasted the Cowboys video
I like that.
with, with one of his punts.
I wish he would have fucking
Yeah,
fucking just like nail the fucking board at Jerry World. Just all of a sudden, you know.
because it's low there, right? Isn't that like an issue there or some shit? Like,
So
is that the stadium? There's an issue with that.
So okay, so they had it lower, right? And then like
They raised it,
when they put it in there, then they raised it, and then
but
they
it's
kind of like
still
moved it up.
kind of a risk,
But
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So like now, like I was watching an episode of the Pat McAfee show, and he's like, now you've got to kind of try to like hit it, he's like, otherwise you're not gonna hit it. But yeah, he if you saw the video, like it went up to the side of it, like it maybe cleared it by a matter of feet. So it was pretty interesting. So I mean, just you know, one interesting point in a game that was not super
yeah, and
interesting to
then to
watch.
know when you know it's really bad, Dak is replaced by Cooper Rush
Yeah.
late in the third quarter, and then for some reason
Although
Kyle Allen finishes the
Washington would
game
do the
also
same, and they
with
put Kyle Allen in. Yeah.
right was did he get hurt or something or did they just do that? I don't even remember now
No, they
because
just
I
they just pulled him because the game was so
because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I actually watched at that point. I might
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. Saw some highlights, but
yeah,
God, that was a painful one for me. Oh my God. But he Kyle Allen would finish the game playing the entire fourth quarter. Taylor finished 7 for 22 for
yeah,
121 yards, one touchdown, and two interceptions. Terrible.
yeah. I
Terry
think it was
McLaurin did
even
not have.
a little worse than his last game against Dallas, which was I thought his
Yeah,
worst
that
game of the
one.
season to that point.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And then to make things worse, Terry McLaurin did not have any receptions until the fourth quarter when Kyle Allen came in.
Yeah,
Washington would get a late touchdown when Allen would connect with rookie John Bates, who would fumble the ball after for yards, but recover it in the end zone for
yeah.
his first career touchdown.
That was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
And Kyle Allen,
he was fighting through contact. The guys like knocked the ball out, like at the goal line. Like the ball's rolling around there, and then he like just dives on it over the plane. You can't advance the fumble, but he recovered it in the end zone. And yeah,
yeah,
they gave him the receiving touchdown. So that was
wow,
pretty cool.
nice.
Yeah,
And Kyle Allen was actually 8 for 10 for 67 yards with one touchdown, so he did pretty damn well at the end there.
yeah,
It didn't really matter, but I guess if you want to look at some positives there, that is one. He had a decent game, but we all know that would not last. So nobody wants to see Kyle Allen at the helm.
yeah,
So, but good for him against probably like backups on Dallas. But
yeah,
next week we got to play the 8-7 Eagles. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll be healthy enough at that point to actually put up a decent fight.
yeah. Hopefully,
If we had a healthy roster, things would be a lot different. But with the way things have played out, it is what it is, and the playoffs seem out of reach at this point. But
yeah. I mean, you guys basically like. I'm over here like fucking hoping that you guys with the football team and I'm into the team as well or whatever they're going to be called, TBD. Um,
yeah,
talk about that more coming up on next week's episode. But yeah, I mean right now I'm like fucking Princess Leia right now. Sending out a telegram message through R2. It's like, help me, Washington. You're my only hope. Like, I'm just hoping that you guys can knock off those Eagles. Like, it's like hashtag beat Philadelphia. Hashtag beat Philly. Let's get it trending.
absolutely. All right, yeah, we'll cover that one. Cover that one next week. Hopefully, it's A lot better than this week because this was painful.
Yeah, absolutely. Good night,
I don't
everybody.
know. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, good night. Terrible week.